How's it going, New World? Sethphir here, and today I wanted to speak with you a little bit about in-game progression and how to progress. I know there's a lot of confusion on this topic, and there's probably a million things to do. However, you can definitely pinpoint the things that you need to do on a priority basis to just have that minimal amount of time investment be worth a lot. So here I'm going to identify that today, and we're going to break it down into roughly 4 to 5 simple things that you need to accomplish like during a week to keep up with the end game currently. I know there's a lot of issues with the patches and the bugs and the balancement of the game and all these dupe glitches and everything like that. But these things aside, you can definitely make very solid progress just doing very standard things every day and making sure you hit a few areas of cooldowns. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that. The first thing on our list is going to be hitting your weekly cooldowns for orbs or tuning orbs, because this is going to be the most important thing that's going to progress your gear for the end game, right? The dungeons drop a lot of best in slot gear. They drop a lot of good gear. This is not a best in slot hammer here, but it is a dungeon drop that I got, and it is quite decent. You can get very powerful items. So there's two ways to get powerful items in this game. The first would be to craft it. The second would be to get it from a dungeon drop. So there are many best in slot rings and all kinds of cool stuff like this smooth bone ring, which you can eventually get at higher item level, and this Doom's Chance earring, which have all the statistics that you're gonna need to have the best in slot for pretty much any type of gear you can think of. I also received really cool things from dungeons like this spell staff here, which has crit, and I guess Meteor Shower, but we won't talk about that. But it's still very powerful nonetheless, right? So you can get all kinds of really solid gear like this. So when we take a look at this type of thing, this is all coming from the Garden of Genesis and Lazarus Instrumentality Dungeon. So if we take a look here at Stone Cutting, there are going to be 2 orbs that are going to require us to pay the price to get in to these dungeons. And you can make these, you can make 3 Garden of Genesis orbs per week and 1 Lazarus tuning orb per week. You may already know that. I have a full guide discussing on how to get all of that materials required and the details for it. But just keep in mind that this is the first thing you want to prioritize. As you can see, I have a day and 1 hour in the bottom right left on my cooldown. That means I have hit my cooldown, and I'm going to hit it again following up in the next day. So I'm going to be able to run Lazarus once per week and 3 times Genesis per week with just my orbs alone. And I have a group who all do the same thing. So we're running Genesis 15 times a week and Lazarus 3 times a week, right? So this will allow me to get many chances to get really good drops. And if I wanted to, a lot of people tend to sell their keys or entry into their dungeons, so you can pay 1,000 gold or so and walk into a dungeon as well if you want to do some extra, and I will say it is pretty decent. So it's a nice way to get your watermarks up and to start consistently finding good gear. And remember, when your watermarks hit the highest point, when you start getting all 600s, you're going to start to see a lot of great gear dropping from the dungeons, and especially when you get those jewelry marks up, eventually you can find some really nice items. So, with that being said, tuning orbs is going to be the first one. You need to get this done every week, so this is going to be a weekly requirement for you. That will lead into what it takes to make the tuning orb, which is everything else can be bought on the market or gathered. You can do that in your own time, but the main component that you cannot get without doing something specific is going to be this fragment, corrupted fragment. So that means that we are going to need to do some amount of greater portals per week, right? So if we go over here and take a look at the map, we will see that there are some greater portals up. And if it is a level 25 greater portal, that is perfectly fine. If it is a level 65 greater portal, like in Ebon Scale, that is also fine. There is a slight difference between the quality or the quantity of the items obtained from the boxes, and also a difference in the amount of fragments that you would get. So a 65 portal should generally net you a higher amount of fragment yield. However, that may not always be the case, as it is RNG, so you can sometimes get super lucky and get a box with a lot of fragments, but you will need enough to make those Genesis and Lazarus tuning orbs, which I believe is a pretty high total of legendary shards. We'll go back and check on that, but I think it's 3 for the Lazarus and 2 for the Genesis. You make 3 Genesis per week, so that's 6, and then the extra 3 from the Lazarus would be a 9 total. So you would need to farm 9 legendary fragments. So that's going to be the second thing that you need to do, is do enough 65 portals, or just enough greater portals in general, to hit your cooldown for the tuning orb every week, so that you can do that. And it doesn't take too long. I spent an hour and I got like 1 to 2 legendary fragments, so really you're looking at like 4 or 5 hours, maybe a little more, of farm per week or something like that, right? So that would just be you playing the game and you going around hitting these portals, and you would also get tons of other stuff like Azoth, gold, reputation, even items as well. So it's just a good activity to do as a group. I will say that they are much harder in the new patch. In 1.1, you will need to bring corruption potions, so do keep that in mind, and that's something you want to go for. The next thing that you're going to want to do, the third thing, is you're going to make sure that you get a daily cooldown going for the chests, right? And so the best chests in the game currently are coming from the Scorched Mines, the Mirgard Cathedral area, and also the Siren Strand area. There is one other area called the Eternal Pools. There's 2 elite daily chests there that you could gather. However, there's only 2. So if you feel that's worth your time and battling through all those enemies, feel free to do it. But honestly, you could just skip it. It's really not that bad. So my group, we run as a guild, and we do the Scorched Mines, we do Mirgard, and we do some other stuff too, but we also finish with Sirens at the very end. And we generally clear this in about an hour to an hour and 30 minutes, something like that, like a lot less than your standard raid time in other games. But basically, we're able to fly through there pretty fast. All we do is we go to the elite chests, we pick up the elite chests, and we kill any boss monsters along the way. Other than that, we just drag everything forward and AoE it down and kill it together as a group, but it can be very quick. So I would recommend getting a group for that, as that will give you a lot of bang for your buck, essentially. You're going to be getting a lot of high quality items, like 600 plus gear score items, and even 590, 580 if you get your watermarks up. And if you don't have your watermarks up, it will be boosting your watermarks, so you'll be climbing up there. So you're going to start to be able to have this character that can find all of a sudden 600 legendaries, 600 purples, really good items that a lot of people want. Right? And all of these activities that you're doing is going to give you a lot of money. There's tons of good items you're going to get from here. There are trophy pieces that you're going to get from some of these treasure chests. You'll be able to sell for tens of thousands of gold. You will also be able to sell some of the items and materials from the chests for a lot of gold, and not to mention just the raw gold in general that you get from doing these activities. Namely, the dungeons give you a lot of raw gold too, so don't be afraid to buy some of the components that you need, like maybe the moats or whatever that may be, to craft some of these cooldowns for you, because it's not too shabby, right? So that is the third thing that you will need to do pretty much every week or every day. And then the fourth thing that you're going to need to do for progression is going to be to hit your material cooldowns every day. So what am I talking about with that? I'm talking about your refining skills here: smelting, woodworking, leatherworking, weaving, and stone cutting. If I go over here, you can see that I have the smelter available with 200. I can make something called Asmodean. That is a very core component in crafting any best in slot in-game piece. This is particularly good for making jewelry, as your jewelry watermarks tend to lag very far behind the rest of your gear, and you will need to use jewel crafting or get a jewel crafter to create high-level in-game jewelry for you. For example, I've created this 600 earring with 25 dex and a bunch of luck and some really cool stuff, so that's a really nice piece to have, right? These are something that you would pretty much just want to create for yourself. Get a luck set, make sure you get a regular set that's going for damage, and that's going to be your best way to get jewelry in the game. It's also going to be something that can make you money. If I look on my market currently, Tolvium's at about 120, Cinnabar's at about 60, and when you make an Asmodeum ingot, I can sell it for about 400 to 450 gold. So just by creating this item, I can create 10 of them per day, I can double my money. Even if I don't want to mine at all and I just buy these materials from the auction house, I can flip it instantly and double my cash, right? So this is going to be a great source of income as well as a great source of end-game materials. Asmodium is an end-game material, right? And that's going to be the same for everything else too. If we go over here to the wood shop tier, you can see that, oh, it looks like my glittering ebony wood is up on the cooldown. This is also going to be another material that's required. I would simply buy these out of the auction house because they're just cheaper than the actual price of the ebony wood, and I would be able to create this and then make myself some high-level staffs, or make myself use it in a crafting component for the jewelry or different other things, namely like the armor and things like that. But just keep in mind that there is one for everything. Leatherworking is another really good one. This runic leather is used to make the highest level bags in the game, and it's also used in pretty much all armoring and weaponsmithing high-level crafts, so this is going to be very valuable. Weaving has started to pick up, as Phoenix Weave is now required in a few other ingredients, so people do want Phoenix Weave now, so that's also another cooldown that you can hit every day. You can make 10 of these components every 24 hours, but you can also have a set of gear on that will increase that yield. For example, in my inventory I have like stone cutters. I can increase that by 10%, so when I were to make a rune stone on a 24-hour cooldown, I would essentially be making 10% more. Sometimes I've procced 12, 13, 14, gotten really lucky, so I'm actually skipping forward a day and just making even more money, right? Not to mention the actual chance to craft the item with, depending on your skill and stuff like that. So all that stuff is going to be something that's required, so that's going to be your fourth thing that you're going to need to do, is make your daily cooldowns. If you haven't got your refining professions up, go ahead and do so, because that will just help you in the long term. Every day from this point forward that I have all these at 200, that means that I can create free money out of thin air. Even if I just buy it from the auction house, all the materials, I don't go out and gather a single thing. I just click on the auction house and I buy all the materials. I just double my cash right there. And I can just sell that to people that are trying to make bisque gear, or I can use it to make my own bisque gear. So there's a lot of functionality in that. So with those things being said, the next thing that would be on the list, and this is my sort of fifth thing, it's going to be just some way to make money for yourself. And this is just going to be something that you're going to do personally in your own time. My strongest recommendation would be to play a patch ahead. So when you see that PTR come out and you see that things are getting changed and all of a sudden this item's going to be good, and I make a lot of videos on this, so if you're following this channel, that's a great way to find that before it happens. I know tons of my subscribers have made hundreds of thousands of gold, a lot of gold, just off of getting ahead of the game, right? Before this patch hit, we talked about corrupted runestones going up. They shot up in price. We talked about moats going up. They shot up in price. All of these things you can just buy before the patch and then sell them when the patch rolls out and everybody realizes, oh duh, I need all of these items. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? Scramble, scramble, scramble. And then everyone's buying, and then that price is just going up and up and up and up and up, and then you could just make insane profit. So before, when a patch hits, you can basically make as much gold as you would need until the next patch, just right there in that instance, without wasting a lot of your time, right? Because the one thing you don't want to do is spend all day playing the game and farming the game. You're going to burn out real fast, right? So we're trying to make this efficient for you. That's what these steps were there for. If you have any other money-making avenues, you can do things like you can pick a trade skill and focus on that. So for me, I've chosen Arcana, so I make like Void Gauntlets and stuff like that. Or you can make whatever you want and sell that on the market house, like own that portion of the auction house, right? Like you're the staff dealer or the whatever potion dealer, whatever it may be, control that market and sell and make money in that. And if you're more of a gathering person, you can also just say, hey, look, I'm a miner. I like to mine, and I have a full mining set. I'm going to go out and get that Tolvium and that Cinnabar. Just pick one of these things and go out and do it when you feel like you have time. If you don't have any of the professions leveled up, that's also okay. Another viable option would just be trophy hunting. And I put up several guides on this, so you can go through and check for that. But essentially your best spots for trophy is going to be Reekwater, just running around and hitting a lot of the points of interest, as they do tend to have a lot of supply stockpiles around them that will give you trophies. And then your next best place is going to be Shattered Mountain. Same thing, hit the points of interest and they will give you supply stockpiles. You can use a resource like some sort of a New World map from a website to kind of look around and see where all those stockpiles are, so you know exactly where they are, and then you can run up and pick them up. So that's pretty much it. That's going to be your main source for like in-game and how you would progress your character, right? For now, that's going to be your best go-to avenues. So in summary, the first thing you want to do is hit your tuning orb weekly cooldowns by creating them. Make sure you do that so that you can enter the dungeons and get chances at best in slot gear. The second thing you need to do is to make sure that you are farming a little bit of 65 portal rifts or any 25, 35, 45, whatever, greater portal rifts to get enough materials to create your tuning orb so that you can go into the dungeons. The third thing that you need to do is to do the 23-hour elite chests, or daily elite chests as we call them, in Shattered Mountain. Make sure you hit up the mines, make sure you hit up Mirgard, and make sure you hit up Reek Water, and you can do that every day. You will get a lot of goodies and a lot of really powerful items and materials and gold and things that sell for a lot. You're just going to need everything from here. The fourth thing that you're going to need to do is definitely you want to make sure you hit those daily cooldowns for your materials. So that's just going to be like that Asmodium and things like that we talked about. And then the fifth thing is just going to be that sort of money-making adventure, whatever you want to do. Whether you play the auction house before the patch, or you're a miner, or you are a trophy hunter, whatever you want to do, maybe you're a jewel crafter, it doesn't matter. Find some way to make gold to make income, right? And that's going to be the best way to go about that. All right, well, I hope this information has helped everyone. I want to thank you for watching the video. We do have the subscribe, like, and bell button down below. If you haven't checked it out already, go ahead and do so. We have a join button if you wish to become a member, and a Discord in the description link. Thanks for your time, and we will catch you in the next video.